Hello, Selamünaleyküm. God's peace be upon you. Some of the swears and dirty words and criticisms from Westerns particularly forced me to prepare this video, What is Islam? Part 2. Before all, I will ask you particularly to examine the way of speaking of Muslims and Western people on YouTube. Actually, I cannot blame you, because 72% of American men and 58% of American women of every ethnicity, class and level of education swear in public. Because your idols like Bruce Willis, Borat, in antichrisic films of your capitalist system make so dirty jokes about their own sisters, mothers, wives, and swear non-stopping without blushing, under these circumstances you take this as a normal situation. So now, does Islam saying heaven is under the foot of mothers, or your capitalist approach underestimate and oppress women? There are also books like Swearing by Geoffrey Hughes, Why We Curse, and Neuro-Psycho-Social Theory of Speech by Timothy Jay Expletive Deleted, A Good Look at Bad Language by Ruth, Wajnryb, The Anatomy of Swearing by Ashley Montagu in the USA. Psychiatrists, psychologists, neurologists, linguists, and speech pathologists currently have no coherent theory to explain why Americans curse. The answer is simply because your heart is not in peace. In Quran, the solution is shown as hearts only find rest and are satisfied by remembering Allah, God. Remembrance of Allah, or God, drives away devil, suppressing and breaking him, and lets you control your ego. So let's have a look at the other flaws of Western capitalist system now. A Western sibling on YouTube wrote, Muslims are utterly disgusting. Their ideology is far darker and far less reconcilable with civilized life than fascism. Nothing personal against Muslims, but there is no possibility of living peaceably with Jews, Christians according to Sharia law, saying to smite the unbelievers above their necks and cut off their fingertips. If what you are saying is true, I invite you to prove by solid and concrete examples, so that we can also be illuminated. I live in Turkey, which was established after Ottoman Empire, which was ruled by Sharia for about 5 centuries. In our country, if you go to nursing homes made in the time of Ottoman Empire, you will see that a church, a mosque, and a synagogue stand adjacent to each other. If you walk along our biggest street, İstiklal Caddesi, of our biggest city, Istanbul, you will see 5 big churches of different sects of Christianity and only one mosque, just because in Quran, Allah or the God says there is no pressure in Islam. Whereas in some European countries, they are still discussing if mosques should be made in their cities, like Athens, Rome. Again, on the same street, İstiklal Caddesi, you will see a Holy Book Publishing Company, which only prints Bible and sells on the shop in the biggest street of Istanbul, whereas many missionaries of different sects of Christianity can make propaganda very freely. For this reason, UNESCO has named 2007 International Year of Rumi, Islamic Sufi mystic who is the #1 best-selling poet of the United States, who has outsold Shakespeare and whose verses read by celebrities like Deepak Chopra, Madonna, Goldie Hawn, and Demi Moore. According to Time magazine, Rumi is mystic of the century, and according to the New York Times, Rumi is the most influential poet in America since the 1960s. Same sibling continues. It seems we in the West don't know the difference between right and wrong anymore, or good and bad. We are sick of democracy, I think. That's what postmodernism has done to us. We live in anarchy, and someone has got to straighten it up, and somebody will, although it will not be the Christians this time, because we are just a bunch of beggars. Yes, you are proud of your Western civilization, but an estimated 500,000 to 700,000 homeless people of the United States consider themselves lucky if they have a warm place to stay and 3 meals a day. 2. For example, according to a study from the United Nations, children growing up in the United Kingdom suffer greater deprivation, worse relationships with their parents, and are exposed to more risks from alcohol, drugs, and unsafe sex than those in any other country in the world. A survey by release of 520 attenders at clubs and dance events in London suggested that 97% of dancegoers had tried an illegal drug at some time. 3. To fight for marriage rights same-sex couples is seen as a historic civil rights battle, and Western idols like Ringo Starr, Victoria Beckham, Liz Hurley, Cilla Black, Donatella Versace, Claudia Schiffer, Greg Rusetsky, James Blunt, Jamie Cullum, and Lulu celebrated and supported Elton John and David Byrne's marriage. 4. Obesity is one of the greatest public health challenges of the 20th century and is already responsible for 2 to 8% of health costs and 10 to 13% of deaths in the West. Okay. Islam means submission to the will of God and obedience to His law, and came lastly to repeat and restore God's message sent by Jesus, Moses, David, Noah, and Abraham. A man came to Prophet Muhammad and asked him to tell very shortly about Islam. Prophet Muhammad said, "Believe in God and be good." That's all. Today, there are over 7 million Muslims in the United States alone. That's more than all the Mormons, Jehovah's Witnesses, and Christian Scientists combined, and each year 30,000 people convert to Islam only in the USA. So, if you sit at home one day, 2 or 3 hours, and read Quran, instead of watching TV, going to movie, or chatting in pub, I am sure you will see things are not as your bias and prejudice approach. You will only discover the treasure island like Yusuf Estes, Kabir Miski, Hamza Yusuf, Abdulrahim Green, and Yusuf Islam, and many others, who were once Christians and from whom we learn Islam now. Best regards.